As violent rage this year in Syria, Ukraine and Gaza, the United Nations found it impossible to either stop the violence or even deliver enough humanitarian aid. Even where the United Nations has peacekeepers, there was little peace to keep. The Central African Republic continues to be racked by ethnic violence, the world's newest country, South Sudan, tearing itself apart. And peacekeepers in the Golan Heights were held hostage, a symbol of the impotency of an organisation overtaken by events.
The UN is increasingly paralysed by splits between Russia and the US, but it's also just overloaded, and there are crises on the UN's agenda, such as that in South Sudan, which risk being forgotten.
No wonder then that UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon is urging nations to come together as world leaders gather here in New York.
The member states should show their unity. We are living in an era of unprecedented level of crises and troubles. On top of all these regional conflicts, which are mostly, I think, all man-made crises. We have a lot of natural calamities and then diseases like Ebola, which we are experiencing. Therefore, this is really a time when General Assembly and all intergovernmental bodies and Security Council, and they should be united.
There may be a semblance of unity this week as world powers gather to consider next steps in dealing with the terrorist threat stemming from Islamic State. But behind the words of unity there are divisions over potential attacks on IS on Syrian soil and whether Iran should be formally invited into the US-led coalition to fight the group. And on Ebola, the sort of health emergency and humanitarian disaster where the UN usually fares so well, the disease continues to spread across borders and create fear across West Africa. 3,000 US troops are now being deployed to try and end an epidemic that has claimed thousands of lives. Climate change is one area the United Nations, under UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon, has striven to take a leadership position. But despite the presence of 120 world leaders for a special summit to be held here this week, little progress is expected on core issues.
Ban Ki-moon and other UN leaders have really tried to make climate change a cause for the whole organisation. But because it is such a complex issue and because it has so many important economic ramifications, the UN can't really drive the process forward.